Hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations That Changed Me. I am your host, Lucia Costin, Rapid Transformational Practitioner, and today I want us to focus on a question when it comes to relationships. And it's not about your partner, it's about you. When you think about your relationships, the one you had, the one you're in now, or maybe the one that you're hoping to find, have you ever wondered why the same feelings keep showing up, why you end up in the same situation? Maybe it's not the same person and the details might be a bit different, but somehow you end up in another relationship feeling unseen, feeling like you're not chosen. You need to put yourself always in the shadow, always small, not ask for too much, not take too much space. And you're carrying the emotional weight of that relationship. It kind of feels like you're slowly disappearing just to keep the peace. And at one point, we always ask ourselves, why does this happen to me? And most of us believe we are responding to what's happening in front of us. But what we are actually responding to is something much older. We keep repeating the same patterns, trying to break free. And I want you to think, what if every relationship you've ever had was quietly awakened a part of you that were formed long before you knew what love was? What if every relationship brings out little puzzle pieces that were formed from the beginning of your existence? Because there's something we don't talk about enough. No one enters in a relationship with a blank slate. We all have our baggage, we all have our childhood, we all have our heartbreak. With every moment, with every rejection and every criticism, every abandonment, every time we were ignored or made to feel responsible for somebody else's emotional needs, when we were reading stories that made us cry, or when we were reading stories where we felt loved, whether we felt enough, whether our needs mattered, whether it was safe to ask for comfort, whether love had to be earned, was it conditional? We never stop to think about these things. Oftentimes people think that, well, if it's my first partner, then everything will be okay because, both of us are stepping on this journey and it's a new beginning for the both of us and it should be a smooth sail, when in fact relationships trigger so many aspects of us, and it really does act like a mirror where you can see clearly the parts of you that need your attention, the parts of you that need healing. And these stories don't disappear simply because we meet somebody wonderful. If anything, as I said, love will expose everything. because love makes us feel safe, makes us feel connected. And when that happens, our mind thinks, well, this looks like a good moment to bring up some of the the things that I kept in the dark. So think about that for a moment. The very relationship you've been hoping would heal you may actually be reliving, revealing the places within you that still need healing. And it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's not because you're broken, none of that thing. As I said before, intimacy has a way of shining a light on the parts of us we've spent years trying to protect. That's why a delayed text can feel like a rejection. A disagreement can feel like you've been completely abandoned. Why asking for reassurance can feel almost impossible. Why some women overfunction in relationship, always doing more and giving more and, fixing everything, hoping that if they become indispensable, they will finally feel secure. And that's another pitfall. We don't realize that the more indispensable we become, the smaller we become. People are not going to value us more if we do everything. And why others keep everyone at arm's length because depending on someone feels dangerous. None of this means there's something wrong with you. It simply means that your nervous system learned what it had to do to survive emotionally. The little girl inside you, the little girl inside you became incredibly intelligent. She learned a series of coping mechanisms, a series of emotional patterns, a series of thoughts and thinking habits to keep her safe. So she learned to stay quiet, when to please others, when to perform, when to stop asking. All of those were strategies meant to protect you, meant to make you survive. And the question is now, are they still protecting you? Or are they keeping love at a distance? Because the pattern, one that once kept us safe, can become our prison. This is where so many women get stuck and they spend years trying to change their partners, trying to fix their partners without ever becoming curious about the patterns that they themselves are replicating over and over again. Different faces can create the same pain when we're living from the same unconscious story. And healing isn't just learning to communicate better. It's not about memorizing relationship advice and saying mantras and all that. It's about becoming deeply curious about yourself. It's about asking, why does this trigger me? What story am I telling myself right now? What am I afraid of in this moment? What part of me wants to come out and be seen? Because awareness changes everything. And when you understand your patterns, you stop believing they are your identity. You realize that you're not needy, you're not too emotional, You're not too hard to love. And this changes the perspective and the conversation that you have with yourself. And I hope every woman listening will carry within her today this understanding that your deepest work isn't finding the perfect relationship. Perfect doesn't exist. We should really stop chasing this myth, because the key is in becoming the woman who recognizes herself inside that relationship. The woman who no longer abandons herself to avoid being abandoned by somebody else. The woman who can stay connected to her own truth and to her own identity, even when it is uncomfortable. The woman who knows that emotional intimacy begins long before another person enters the picture. Because the relationship that changes everything is the one you build with yourself. And from that place, you stop chasing love and you start recognizing it. So today, before you move on with your day, I want you to um, leave from this podcast with one question. What part of you keeps showing up in your relationship asking to be loved? That you've been wanting for someone else to heal. Sit with that for a while. Don't rush it. Never rush it. Because there's all the time a part of us that is asking to be loved. And somehow we're waiting for the knight in shining armor to come and do that job when in fact that is something for us to do. So do sit with that. Sometimes the questions that stay with us the longest have the power to transform us the most. I'm waiting for your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time and for listening. See you again next time.